r/AskReddit. What's the best response you've said to someone complaining about kids these days? Shut the fuck up, George. You did coke when you were their age. To this day, I still think about that grandma at the grocery store. What a great wife. Context: I was shopping with my girlfriend. We were laughing and I accidentally bumped the old Jesus cart. He flipped the fuck out with a whole rant about how horrible young people are today. His wife sat him the fuck down. A keynote speaker was basically talking shit on millennials at a corporate function I attended. My boss was like, wow, he really hit the nail on the head with your generation. My response was, we didn't raise ourselves with these standards. You all brought us up this way. Actually made him pause and consider that. Young guy on my team at work. Others were complaining about millennials. In 2018, I pointed out that them being not 38 yet also makes them millennials. You guys are so spoiled nowadays. Me. Looking for an apartment near me. These apartments are over $2,000 a month. Well, maybe you should be looking at a studio. This is one. With 2 other roommates. The $2,000 is just a third of the rent. Well, good luck. How much did your apartment cost? Which one? I had several when I was younger. Comma. Not my quote. But great nonetheless. Old people talk shit about this generation until they suddenly turn off their Wi-Fi and can't remember how to turn it back on. And then I'm suddenly the master of information and resources. Old guy. Kids these days don't know how to save up for college the old-fashioned way through odd jobs and hard labor. My brother. I am literally mowing your lawn to save up for college. I really have no room to talk. In my day, people thought mullets were cool and girls acquainted their bangs to the ceiling. Every generation thinks the next ones are the ones who are batshit crazy. I was on the train reading a book and older women makes the comment, kids these days are always on their phone instead of books. I responded and told her that phones now have the ability to store books. And I told her what I was reading and then asked her what book is she reading since she was such a bookworm. She had no answer since she didn't have a book. So I said, ugh, baby boomers these days always have their nose in other people's business instead of a book. She called me rude and I told her to please refrain from speaking to me because I was in the middle of a really good book. Things were hard for you. Things are also hard for modern kids. It's just a different kind of hard. The children now love luxury. They have bad manners. Contempt for authority. They show disrespect for elders and love chatter in place of exercise. Children are now tyrants. Not the servants of their households. They no longer rise when elders enter the room. They contradict their parents. Chatter before company. Gobble up dainties at the table. Cross their legs. And tyrannize their teachers. Socrates, 469-399 BC. Not mine originally, I found it someplace but I can't remember where. Probably Reddit once upon a time. I liked it so much I have since adopted it as mine. However, millennials. Usually every generation has it better than the ones that came before. That's progress. That's as it should be. Millennials are probably the generation more thoroughly fucked by their predecessors than any other. Massive debt. Ruined environment. Overpopulation. Wealth disparity. And for all that, the generations that are fucking them over call them spoiled and entitled. A great quote I read once went something along the lines of, we knew those participation trophies were bullshit when you gave them to us. But we accepted them because it seemed important to you. If we'd known you'd hold them over our heads someday, we would have told you to shove them up your asses. Chill out. It's their first time too. Boy. My ex-boyfriend and I were in a date and we were making out in the park. Nothing lewd. Just kissing and some dumbass giggles until this woman, her husband and her son, says, Jesus Christ. Please stop doing those disgusting things in front of me and my baby. Kids and teenagers these days are unbelievable. We just got up. Kind of mad but not in the mood to deal with her shit. And decided to walk around some more time before leaving. Until we find her again. Making out with her husband in a hella hot session. We were able to see their tongues and some saliva. Ugh. While their kid was just sitting awkwardly. Obviously uncomfortable. My ex was one smug idiot, but I love him. And he straight up raised his voice to say, Jesus Christ. Adults these days. It was a pretty good day. The woman and her husband saw us. Obviously embarrassed, and we both just walked away. Just remember that when we were kids we wore parachute pants, listened to a flock of seagulls, and thought the California raisins were cool. Me responding to someone my age belittling kids of today. My co-worker said that millennials were lazy and entitled. She's 26. I pointed out that she was a millennial and she replied, saying I was more of a millennial than her. I'm Gen Z. The facts. Violent crime is down compared to when Gen Zers like me were kids. Teen pregnancy is down. If kids being whiny and disrespectful and addicted to screens is the price we have to pay for that, then yes. Please. I'll have the whining. It's a lot better than being raped or murdered. My response to whenever my parents, teachers, elders in general as adults these days, can't teach their kids a thing. Example. Say my parents use a word I've never heard of. Ask them what it meant. They go for the kids these days thing and I go, yes, you're right. Kids don't know a thing these days. They could have known that if their parents taught them. This generation has no respect. Blah blah, spoken by a grown man with a useless son. So who raised this generation? Double quote. You were complaining about African Americans calling for equal rights when you were their age, Harold. People in nursing homes are savage. A few weeks ago I walked up in line at the express checkout in the grocery store to hear the two seniors in front of me complaining about kids these days. Conversation went from how rude they are, to how stupid they are, to how inconsiderate they are. And then the old lady unpacked 14 items out of her cart onto the belt in the 10 items or less lane, while still griping about how young people are inconsiderate. I literally laughed out loud. She looked at me, looked at her items, and then the full context of what she was doing registered. The look on her face was amazing. I didn't say anything else. I just smiled at her and she turned her back to me and shut the hell up. A Gen X, 40ish, woman saw her nephew and niece watching a YouTube video of some gamer and started pointing it out to her friends. Gen X woman. Did you know kids these days watch videos of other people playing video games? Gen Xers. Laughing. Me. And what? You watch sports? Don't you? Gen X woman. That is not the same thing. Me. It 100% is. Though. You buy jerseys so you can pretend to be on a team that you can't qualify for so that you can cheer on teenagers playing a sport that you don't play. Plus, if I don't know if I wanna buy a $50 game, I don't have to. I can watch a playthrough and see if it's worth it. Gen X woman. That's not why they do it. Me. So what? At least if I buy the game I can play it nearly as good as the people that I watch. If I got you a football, could you kick a 40-yard field goal? Kids are supposed to be stupid. What's your excuse? My mom used to call me a son of a bitch. So I just left it at that. I know. Aren't children amazing? They are so much more fun than adults. Adults are so cynical and judgmental. Kids are like a breath of fresh air. They grow up too fast these days. Childhood is meant for enjoyment. I normally just roll my eyes and say yeah, because we were so much better. Hey. Shut up. I say, the one I raised is great. How did you do with yours? Was at punk concert, swinging udders, and one of my friends, being a first generation punk like myself, says, "These young punks don't have no respect." I replied, "No respect? It's fucking punk rock, man." Everyone started laughing and we enjoyed the gig. Personally, I like the way they are becoming activists. It shows they care. Turns off life support. Want us to get off your lawn? This was on a thread in Reddit years ago now. Someone who was probably in the baby boomer generation was complaining about how kids get participation trophies for everything. Someone replied, "So who gave us the participation trophies? We didn't ask for them." Those who criticize this generation forget who raised it. Didn't you guys have pet rocks? in response to an adult having a temper tantrum over fidget spinners. That's what someone said about you when you were growing up. Except kids falling off bikes. Fuck. I could watch kids fall off bikes all day. I don't give a shit about your kids. They'll be wiping your ass someday. I've heard people call millennials weak. I find that funny because it kind of seems to me like millennials are capable of changing with the times and keeping up with progress while older generations refuse to progress and shun anyone who has. Just because we don't have to walk in the snow 10 miles to school doesn't mean we were being capable of that. Plus, why the hell do they talk about things like that longingly? How old are you? 19. When I was your age, I was 20. Whenever my peers complain about misogynist SoundCloud rap, I remind them our generation listened to Snoop Dogg declare bitches ain't shit but tricks and dicks. Nice try, kid, these days. Huh? OMG, the Fortnite dance is so stupid. Him. Shut up. Martha. I still have that video of you doing the Macarena. Huh? Comma. Overheard by me at a local coffee shop. Not mine. Grandma. Kids are less productive than when I was young. Kid. Shut up. When you were a kid, coke had cocaine in it. Funnily enough, it was on FB. A post about millennials taking basic skills classes like cooking, sewing and laundry, etc. The post was something like, OMG millennials, how useless, ridiculous. The response was that the current generation was so proactive they seek out the skills that the previous generation failed to teach them. Hot damn. Your generation is soft. It's all the participation trophies you were given. Sure. But who gave us those participation trophies again? If I had the courage, I'd probably say, you know. I bet your parents said the same about your generation. And their parents said the same about theirs. Once my friend's dad was talking about how kids these days move out way too late, and my friend's older brother said, well, back then rent costed about 75 cents, so how about no? Died laughing for 8 billion years. Don't be envious. Some lady at the library was bitching about how children are using iPads too young and how they shouldn't be using technology at all cause it's bad for them. I told her that the kids that are using iPads at the age of 3 are going to be the same adults who invent the most amazing advanced technology that will change the world. And then I offered her help to send an email because she's too old to know how. Lol. I overheard this in a guy complaining about how kids these days think gay marriage should be allowed. And person responded at lest we weren't racist and sexist. I'm Jens and can't wait to hear the shit we get. I'm living in Germany and there was an old man complaining for no reason to a friend and me. Saying something like, with soldiers like you there is no war to win. My friend looked him in the eyes and said, and with soldiers like you we lost 2 of them. My asshole uncle complaining about kids these days in front of his mother, who is 96 and still has all her sass. She responded with, yeah. Because you were just a fucking ray of sunshine to raise. For the record, the uncle is an asshole completely of his own volition. I don't know how he turned out that way considering the wonderful woman who raised him. Me and 2 of my friends were sitting on a bus. It was a Friday afternoon and we were going to a concert, so each of us had a couple of beers in our hands. 3 old ladies got on the bus and told us that we should give them our seats. Since half of the seats on the bus were empty, we just told them to sit somewhere else. They sat down behind us and started shit talking really loudly about us and our generation. They said that we are lazy drunkards who are good for nothing, the usual stuff. They were ranting for a good 10 minutes until one of them said something like, I hope when they will be this old they will know what being treated like this feels like. At this moment a 30-something guy who sat near to them stood up and said something like, God, I'd rather kill myself at 60 so I won't become a bitter old crone like you are. Then got off the bus. The old hags were speechless. My grandma said something along the lines of young people are so easily offended these days. So I reminded her that when she was born women were being arrested for wearing pants in public. If you want to get nothing in return, you can like and join my Discord. There is a link in the description.